Alright, today we are doing the rear brakes and struts for a 2001 Lexus ES300. Had a specialized lug nut for this specific tire, which we got off with our specialized lug nut wrench. The customer luckily had. Most of the time the customer doesn't have it and I'm stuck trying to figure out how to get it off, but this time customer had it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get these sockets off. They're 21 millimeters. And then should be able to get this tire off and assess the damage. So yeah, we're gonna get these rotors turned as well. So we gotta get these rotors off first, which we just gotta take off the bolts on the back. Yep, it is this way. I can just feel it getting looser. There it is. So that's how you do that. To get to the top of that, there's 3 bolts on the top. We got to remove the back seat and the top seat. So there's two tabs holding it in right here, one on the other side. Just pull up on the seat, pop it out. The other side was already popped out. So there we go. We set the seat off to the side like that. Now there's, looks like a 12 probably. 2 of those on either side. And there's 2 on the, one right there, one over there. So a total of 4 bolts holding the back seat up. But yeah, use an extension to make it easier to turn this thing. Okay, so I got all 4 bolts out, but as you guys can see, it's loose on the bottom. The top is not trying to come out right now. I don't know if that's popped in or... There's the top of the strut bolts. Those are all 12 millimeters. Let's get those loose now. All right. After turning the wrench, all I used was an open-end wrench. After turning the wrench for what felt like forever, finally got all 3 bolts out. The first 2 bolts came out easily, but once you get that 3rd bolt, that shit took all day. But yep, we got that out. Now the strut is loose. Let's see how it feels. You can just feel it loose inside of there now. See how it goes up and down. So now we got to remove these 19 millimeter bolts right here, 1 on either side. All right, I got too excited, y'all. Forgot to record that last little bit, so I'm gonna get the other side. But we got the strut all the way loose, so you guys can see. Just drop down right there. There's the side by side. Left one, the one on the left is the old. The one on the right is the new. Hell yeah. But yep, let's go ahead and get this thing installed. We got it from Master Pro. The whole complete strut assembly. I'm getting short on time. I had to skip past and get this shit done. We already got the strut, brakes, everything back in order. The rotor is in place. All I need to do now is make sure these bolts are all the way tight in here. All right, so now we're on the back. driver's side tire wheel well. And I just wanted to get every single part of this on film because I didn't get the other side on film. So what we need to do is get these 19mm bolts out. Those are 19s. That 14 has to come out. There's a bracket right here. That bolt right there is a 12. The other one is a 10. Those need to come out, holding the caliper line, brake line in place. Then that should free up everything down here. Up top, there's 3 12mm bolts holding that in. And I'm gonna take those out first. Wasting time. Just support that shit with the jack first, and this should be a breeze. That's how high the strut was originally sitting. Let's take a look at that. Oops. That's how it's originally sitting. You can see one full length of a spring pretty much. Now let's check the other side. See, these springs are different. You can see more coils, but it looks about the same. But yeah, we got all 3 bolts out on the other side. Now it's time to start tearing down the bottom end. And we aren't going to reuse these bolts because I actually stripped a couple, as you can see. So we are not going to reuse these. We're going to go ahead and get rid of these. And there's 3 new bolts that came with the strut already, so we don't got to worry about that. Alright, now to get it out, I'm using an impact on one end with a 19mm and a wrench on the other end, 19mm. And this is my method to get it out the fast way. Quick. Then you just put your impact on the other end. And that should free up all the rest inside and make it to where you can easily take the bolt out. Don't gotta waste no time with the impact wrench. You see? Get the job done in 3.5 seconds. Yeah, no. Get the job done, man. Alright, those 2 bolts are out. Now, the way I'm going to get this out is by using these plier wrenches right here to hold that little ring back behind here. There's a little circle shaped washer. As you spin this nut out, the washer behind wants to spin with it. It's like the nut is connected to that washer. So you're gonna have to get some pliers, or I don't know what these are called. They're not really pliers, they're something else. But yeah, get a good grip on that to take the 14mm out. Show you guys that right now. And then to get that out, I used a C-clamp, compressed the thing all the way. And now we can get our brakes out. Right now, since we don't have any new hardware, I'm gonna just clean out the old hardware of any dust so I can put some new brake grease in there. The brake grease won't really apply well with all this dust, so you got to clean it out. All right. With your brake pads in place, you are good to install the new rotor now. Make sure when you're installing your new rotor that you align the hole up to the biggest hole on the wheel hub assembly, because you're going to need to tighten that actuator down once you get the hub on to expand these out. So make sure you line that up first. All right, now the new rotor comes packaged with a thin film of oil, so you're gonna have to clean that off with the clean rag, the cleanest rag you can find. I know it looks like that's a dirty rag, but those are my clean pair of boxers. I'm gonna throw those away. I don't want to use those anymore. Those are now garbage. But let's get this other side. And then once you get your brake line bracket in place, go ahead and hand tighten the bolts as tight as possible. And we're not going to use the impact to tighten these down, because that might possibly break the bolt. So we're just going to tighten it with the wrench. Now that we got those in place, we can go ahead and tighten everything down. Oh yeah, this bolt over here too, don't forget, which doesn't line up until you lift it up with the jack. So let's do that now. Put this thing in. Now if we go any further, right, then you put your strut on. Get one bolt in, and it should sit there with the one bolt. You don't need to hold it anymore. Now with your two bolts on, you can go ahead and tighten down hand tighten the 19mm bolts, which I'm gonna do right now. Okay. Now, as you guys can see, I'm jacking the strut up into those holes right there. My left hand will guide the strut into the holes as my right hand jacks it up. So let's do that now. Okay, I just drained all the fluid out. All the transmission fluid, I mean. Where's that socket at? There it is. Alright, now let me put the plug back in. Tighten that. Okay. Here's all our old transmission fluid. That shit is pitch black. So that was definitely time for the change. Alright, then you get your seat snapped back into place. I already did that. You get your 4 bolts put back into place. I already did that, but they still need to be tightened down.